Ever notice how some people light up at the mention of a party, while others feel a wave of relief when plans get canceled? If you're the type who genuinely celebrates when that dinner invitation falls through, you're not alone. And there's actually fascinating psychology behind why staying home feels like winning the lottery. Today, we're diving deep into the minds of people who find their greatest joy within their own four walls. And what we discover might completely change how you see yourself or someone you know. Let's start by busting a massive myth. Loving to stay home doesn't automatically mean you're antisocial, depressed, or missing out on life. In fact, psychologists have identified that home lovers often possess something called high environmental sensitivity. These individuals process sensory information more deeply than others. Think about it. A crowded restaurant isn't just loud to them. It's an overwhelming symphony of competing conversations, clinking dishes, and fluctuating temperatures. Their nervous system is essentially working overtime in environments that others barely notice. So when they choose home, they're not avoiding life, they're actually choosing mental clarity and peace. There's also a powerful concept called introversion, but it's widely misunderstood. Introverts don't necessarily hate people or social interaction. Instead, they recharge their mental batteries through solitude. Imagine your energy as a smartphone battery. Extroverts charge up by plugging into social situations. They get energized by crowds and conversations. Introverts, however, drain their battery in those same situations and need alone time to recharge. It's not a flaw, it's just a different operating system. When an introvert stays home on a Friday night, they're not missing out. They're actively investing in their mental health and well-being. But here's where it gets really interesting. Research shows that people who prefer staying home often have richer inner worlds. They're typically more creative, more introspective, and spend considerable time in deep thought. While someone might be out at a loud club making small talk, the homebody might be reading a book that expands their worldview, working on a creative project, or simply thinking through complex ideas. Their home becomes a sanctuary for intellectual and creative exploration. Famous inventors, writers, and artists throughout history were often known homebodies. Emily Dickinson rarely left her house yet produced some of the most profound poetry in history. That's not coincidence, that's correlation. There's also a psychological phenomenon called the need for control and predictability. Our homes represent the one environment we can completely control. We choose the temperature, the lighting, the sounds, even who enters the space. In an increasingly chaotic world where we're bombarded with uncertainty, having a controllable sanctuary becomes psychologically essential. People who love staying home aren't necessarily control freaks. They're simply creating an environment where they can truly relax without the unpredictability that comes with public spaces or social gatherings. Modern psychology also recognizes something called selective socializing. Home lovers often maintain fewer but significantly deeper relationships. While some people collect hundreds of acquaintances, homebodies invest in a small circle of meaningful connections. They'd rather have one profound 3-hour conversation with a close friend than attend a party with 50 shallow interactions. Quality over quantity isn't just a preference, it's a psychological need. Studies actually show that people with fewer but stronger social connections often report higher life satisfaction than those with large but superficial social networks. Let's talk about the comfort zone concept because it's often weaponized against people who prefer staying home. Yes, growth happens outside comfort zones, but sustainable growth also requires a strong home base. Think of home lovers as trees with deep roots. They're not stuck, they're anchored. That anchoring allows them to weather life's storms more effectively. When they do venture out, they do so from a place of strength rather than depletion. There's wisdom in knowing yourself well enough to honor what you need rather than constantly forcing yourself into situations that drain you just because society says you should. The digital age has actually validated home lovers in unprecedented ways. Remote work, online communities, streaming entertainment, and food delivery services have proven that you can live a full, connected, productive life without constantly leaving home. People who were once labeled as hermits or recluses are now just efficient and self-aware. They were ahead of the curve in understanding that physical presence isn't always necessary for connection or productivity. Here's something crucial though. There's a healthy version of loving home and an unhealthy version. Healthy homebodies choose to stay in because it genuinely fulfills them. They're content, creative, and maintain connections in ways that work for them. Unhealthy isolation stems from fear, anxiety, or depression. If someone is staying home because they're terrified of the outside world or using home as an escape from dealing with life's challenges, that's different and might require professional support. The key difference is choice versus compulsion, contentment versus distress. So if you're someone who loves staying home, own it without guilt. You're not broken, boring, or missing out. You're simply wired differently, and that's perfectly valid. Your ideal Friday night might be a book and tea instead of a nightclub, and that's absolutely okay. The world needs both the social butterflies and the content homebodies. Both contribute value in different ways. If this resonated with you, drop a comment below and tell us whether your team stay home or team go out. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them. Sometimes the greatest gift is helping someone understand they're not alone in how they experience the world. Your ideal life doesn't have to look like everyone else's, and that's what makes it truly yours.